We have started a series and we will talk about 8 teams that did not make the 22-team format this year. We have talked about the Charlotte Hornets and the Chicago Bulls, and now this week we will talk about the New York Knicks. We have talked about them before on this podcast, and they're a team that gets laughed a lot because they are very unsuccessful and they have made poor decisions which could be a player signing, a player trade, or a front office signing. This year, the team is 21 and 45 and haven't improved as much as we thought they would. Their roster is kind of confusing to say the least. But who do you think the New York Knicks should try to keep on their team?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate the Knicks for finally making the right move at the general manager position and choosing Leon Rose. Leon Rose is definitely going to not the general manager position, the president of basketball operations position. I think that he has a vision, and I feel that he will carry on with that vision and bring the Knicks back to at least a little bit of their former glory, quote unquote. And according to Leon Rose, his Knicks look like they want to build around two players, RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. And I definitely agree with Leon Rose. These are two players I would for sure keep. And some other players that I'll keep include, you see Kevin Knox, Alonzo Trier, and Dennis Smith Jr. And I know might not be a lot of players, but I have a good reason for them. And each of these players are under 20 years old. They're 22 years old. They're 22 years old or younger, except Alonzo Trier, who is 24. But each of them have star potential in their own right. And they're good locker room guys, and they're hard workers. And because Leon Rose wants to build around RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, that means Julius Randle is, in fact, the odd man out, even though they just signed him this past year. So because of that, I wouldn't keep Julius Randle as he wouldn't fit with the vision of these Knicks. And honestly, you guys may have been wondering why I didn't say Frank Ntilikina, and that's because I've given up on him. I mean, he hasn't showed enough consistent quality of play to be someone that you want to keep. And I really think he's been a bust as a 7th overall pick. And the rest of the team, I honestly think are tradable veterans. You're looking at Maurice Harkless, Bobby Portis, Todd Gibson, so many others. I feel like they need to play their young guys and keep their young guys that really could show some star potential. And honestly, get rid of the bad contracts, like we said in the earlier podcast that we had with the Knicks.
Yeah, I think they should try to keep their young players. And you mentioned that Frank Ntilikina, that you gave up on him. But I think even with him, they should try to develop all those players like Alonzo Trio, Mitchell Robinson, Dennis Smith Jr., RJ Barrett, and Kevin Knox. I think they should try to develop all those players because even if you give up on a player like Frank Ntilikina, at least you want to trade him and get good value for him. So I think what you want to do is develop those guys and make them look like they're going to be good in the future. So teams will be willing to give up maybe a first round pick or some key players for Frank Ntilikina. But you're gonna want to let the other older players walk, like Bobby Portis and Julius Randle and Wayne Ellington. Those are players that are on their really old. Not Julius Randle, but like Wayne Ellington. I don't think he's worth like $8 million. So I think like letting them walk and go to other teams who might need them. I think that's the best for the New York Knicks. And if you're going to keep the veteran guys, I think you want to sign them for less than $5 million and tell them that they're not worth more. They're not worth more than just an average role player, because Taj Gibson, he has become he's become that player that he's older and he is not as good as he was before. But the New York Knicks still are playing him about like 28 to 30 minutes per game. So I don't, and that just limits the younger players' minutes.
The younger players' development, like Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
that's definitely what I've been angry about. How they haven't been playing Mitchell Robinson. He's one of the blocks leaders, and he's only been playing like around 23 minutes a game. Yeah. And it's kind of frustrating to see how the Knicks should continue to make these bad decisions with those players. Honestly, about the Frank Ntilikina situation, how you want to develop him until he can be worth a first round pick. They had 3 years. They had 3 years to develop him, and he's shown that even with the extended opportunity, he hasn't been able to prove himself, and that's why I want to give up on him. But other than that, all these young players, I want to keep them because they could be stars, and because of that potential, I want to keep them, and at the very least, they'll definitely be quality rotational players.
Yeah, you look at a guy like Kevin Knox. Last year, we thought he was the steal of the draft, and now you look at this year, he he was he has not been that same player because he had 30 minutes last year, and now this year he has only 18 minutes. So that just shows that the New York Knicks aren't developing their players right. But I think with new president Leon Rose, they can help change the directions of the team and how they are and make them become possibly a playoff team in the future.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Hopefully, Leon Rose can take the Knicks fans out of their misery that they've been suffering for the
Yeah.
past decades.
Yeah, so in the year 2000, James Dolan took over the New York Knicks and had full ownership of the team. Since that, they have slid from a team that has made the playoffs consistently to a team that makes the lottery almost every year. They've been very unsuccessful, and a huge factor of that has been James Dolan. So, how much of a negative impact has James Dolan put on the Knicks?
A huge negative impact. You can see that he is definitely the reason why they are, in fact, the worst franchise in basketball. Apologies to all Knicks fans, but let's be honest, you guys probably think it's true as well. And I think sadly he tries to rule the Knicks organization with an iron fist. Everything happens exactly how he wants it. And honestly, I think that he believes the Knicks are like his toy that somehow earns him money while he continues to break them. You can see that he has been ruling with an iron fist. You can see that whenever people chant "sell the team" in stadium games, and had them taken out. And I feel like he should listen to them because the Knicks won't do anything right until he either eases up the reins on the Knicks or he gives them up, meaning he should sell the team.
Yeah, I think he should, and I think he's being too like I think he's with all the fans getting kicked out of the games. I think that's just a little bit too much on his side. But you look at James Dolan, and I don't think he has really cared about the organization. I mean, the only reason why he's still the owner of the Knicks is because he's getting a lot of money. And even though they are a trash team, New York is one of the biggest markets in the NBA, and they're going to get you a lot of money even if the team is trash. So I think with that, he's still getting enough money, and I think that satisfies him. But he's not an owner that's fully into his team or he's committed. And I don't even think he can name all 15 players on his roster because
I
because
wouldn't be surprised if he
yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, his team is not successful, and I think you want a guy that's an owner that's really into his team and a guy that really cares. A guy like Steve Ballmer or Mark Cuban, those guys really care about their team, and they don't care if they get fined or for any reason because they want their team to win. And that has been the case for both of those teams, as those teams are all making the playoffs almost every year now. Well, I think you need to fire or James Dolan sell the team. I know you can't necessarily fire him because he's the owner, but if you're James Dolan, you want to sell the team now because in the future you're just going to get a lot of hate for it. And if you sell the team now, I think you will get a lot of money for it. And if you go into the future and sell the team, you won't get as much money because you're gonna still be the same trash team that you were in the past 20 years. But there's also proof of this. You can say that he is a bad owner, but there's actually a lot of proof because in 1980 through 2000, they made the playoffs 16 times and they made it to the finals 2 times. But when James Dolan took over in 2000 and these past 20 years, from 2000 to 2020, they've only made the playoffs 5 times. And you also look at their coaching history, they have had 12 coaches in the span of these 20 years with Dolan.
Wait, you said they made it 5 times?
Yes, the playoffs 5 times. this 20 years.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yes,
I thought they made it less than 2 times.
yeah, they made it 5 times, but I think a couple of those times were right when James Dolan took over the team, so they were still a good team. But you
Yep.
also look at their coaching history. They have had 12 coaches over the span of 20 years with Dolan. That means it's less than two years with each coach. That just shows that the players can't develop correctly with a new coach almost every year, that the coaches are frustrated with Dolan because he is not making enough changes to the team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But according to Leon Rose, he wants to find a new coach by the end of August, and I feel like that's a really good initiative that he's taking. That shows that he will be a a worthwhile president that they signed. Do you think that James Dolan, like just like Donald Sterling, multiple years ago, should be forced to sell the team?
I mean, he hasn't really done anything as bad as he has, but I think um, maybe eventually things will come out because you see last year or this year when before the season got suspended about a week or two before that, Spike Lee got kicked out of the game and he said that he wasn't ever going to come
He's
back.
done for the season.
Yeah, he was done for the season, and I think if he keeps doing stuff like that, kicking fans out the game, he will eventually be forced to sell the team and maybe even get a fine about $2 million, just like Donald Sterling did.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Hopefully, James Dolan can turn it around, or he might not get it anyway.